Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right in because if you've ever felt like dealing with the DMV or the Department of Transportation is just this massive, daunting, bureaucratic nightmare, well, I have some great news for you. Today, we're taking the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, good old PennDOT, and we're transforming their state ID application process into a totally manageable, step-by-step mission. We're going to break down exactly what you need to do, what you need to bring, and what to expect, so you can walk out with your new ID with zero stress. But first, let me ask you this. What opportunities are you actually missing out on right now without a state ID? Let's be real for a second. Not having a solid government-issued photo ID is a huge roadblock in modern life. Without one, you might find yourself completely unable to open a bank account, cash a personal check, board a domestic flight, or, even just verify your age at a restaurant or bar. It's essentially a foundational key to so many doors, and today, we're going to make sure you have that key sitting right in your pocket.
All right, here is our master checklist for today. 1. The power of an ID. 2. Eligibility and required docs. 3. Standard versus real ID. 4. The PennDOT visit. 5. Timelines and renewals. And finally, 6. FAQs and pro tips.
Let's dive right into Section 1, the power of an ID, unlocking everyday activities. Okay, I want to ground this whole process in reality for a second. This card is a perfectly valid state-issued alternative to a driver's license. It's designed specifically for anyone who simply doesn't drive, maybe for medical reasons, age, or just personal choice, but who still absolutely needs rock-solid, unquestionable identification for things like public safety, financial transactions, and civic participation. It's the real deal. Moving right along to Section 2, eligibility and required docs. Your preparation checklist. 10. Yep, just 10 years old. That is actually the minimum age to apply for a non-driver ID card in Pennsylvania. As long as you're a legal Pennsylvania resident, you can secure this photo ID starting at just 10 years old. It's a fantastic option for youth who might need identification for travel or, other official purposes, well before they're ever eligible for a learner's permit. Okay, grab a mental pen because this checklist is your holy grail. PennDOT is incredibly strict about documentation. You basically need to fill 3 specific buckets. First up, proof of identity. Think a valid U.S. passport or a U.S. birth certificate. Second, proof of your social security number, which can be your actual social security card, a W-2, or a pay stub that shows all 9 digits. Finally, if you're 18 or older, you need 2 proofs of Pennsylvania residency, like a current utility bill, a lease agreement, or a W-2 form with your current address on it. And listen, here's a massive pro tip. PennDOT requires original documents. For birth certificates, that means it literally must have a raised seal. Absolutely no hospital commemorative certificates, and definitely under no circumstances, photocopies. They will turn you away. All right, Section 3, standard versus real ID, making the right choice. Now, starting in May 2025, the federal government is going to require a real ID-compliant credential to board domestic commercial flights, enter military bases, or access secure federal facilities. You'll actually know a real ID by a specific security marker right there on the card. This isn't just some state rule, right? It's a federal security standard. If you travel frequently or need access to federal buildings, making this upgrade adds a ton of flexibility and confidence. So, how do they compare? Well, the standard ID is perfectly fine for driving, if it's a license, voting, accessing hospitals, and just general identification. However, the real ID unlocks those domestic flights and federal buildings. Now, getting a real ID is entirely voluntary in Pennsylvania, and it does come with a one-time fee of $30 on top of the standard ID fee. But honestly, for the peace of mind it offers, especially when you're trying to navigate airport security without needing to lug around a passport, it is highly recommended. Which brings us to Section 4. The PennDOT visit, the action phase. I'm going to walk you through exactly what will happen when you get there. Think of it as a cheat sheet for surviving those inevitable DMV wait times. Step 1. You absolutely must locate a full-service PennDOT driver license center. Third-party photo centers cannot process initial applications, so don't make that mistake. Step 2. You'll complete Form DL54A. Step 3. You'll hand over those original documents to an examiner who will verify and scan them. Step 4. You pay your fee. And Step 5. You'll head over to get your high-resolution biometric photograph taken. It's a very structured, logical sequence once you're in the door. Okay, please pay very close attention to this next detail because it is a massive gotcha that catches so many people completely off guard. PennDOT driver license centers operate under a strict cashless policy. They accept credit cards, debit cards, checks, or money orders made payable to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. But with the one single exception of the Harrisburg Riverfront Office Center, they do not accept cash. Come prepared with a card or a check, otherwise your visit is going to come to a screeching halt. Let's hit Section 5, Timelines and Renewals, Maintaining Your ID. The timeline here is actually incredibly efficient. If you opt for the standard ID, PennDOT uses this advanced Face Explorer facial recognition technology to validate your profile and print your card right there on site on day one. Pretty cool, right? However, if you apply for a real ID at a standard center, expect to receive it in the mail within about 15 business days. Both of these IDs are generally valid for 4 years before they expire and you need a renewal. And speaking of renewals, Pennsylvania has this slightly quirky two-step process you really need to know about. You don't just go get a new card. First, you have to renew your ID online or by mail and pay your renewal fee, which is usually around $44.50. Once that's processed, PennDOT mails you a physical paper document called a camera card. It usually takes about 7 to 14 days to arrive. Only then do you take that physical camera card to a photo license center to get your new picture taken and your actual final ID printed. Finally, Section 6, FAQs and Pro Tips, Navigating Special Circumstances. Let's run through a few common edge cases. First off, if you're under 18, you're actually exempt from the 2 residency proofs, but you must have a parent or guardian physically present to sign your application, or you need a notarized consent form. Second, and this is amazing, if you're a registered voter who doesn't have an acceptable ID to vote, Pennsylvania will provide a standard ID for absolutely free if you sign an oath affirmation. Third, if your current name doesn't match your birth certificate, you gotta bring a certified marriage certificate or court order to prove the legal name change. And lastly, Pennsylvania law requires you to report any address change within 15 days. Now, a super quick but totally necessary disclaimer. As we all know, bureaucratic rules, exact fees, and hours of operation are always subject to change. While we've distilled the most current info for you today, you should absolutely always double-check the official PennDOT website at pa.gov before you head out the door, just to ensure you have the most up-to-date information. Better safe than sorry. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. The May 2025 federal Real ID deadline is rapidly approaching. Every single day you wait is a day closer to potential travel disruptions. Take a look at your current ID right now. Are you ready? You now have the master checklist and the complete roadmap. Gather those original documents, double-check that you have those raised seals, grab a debit card, and go tackle the PennDOT system with total confidence. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy organizing!